to your point. I wasn't committed enough to find a way. I just didn't care enough. It's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to waste my conscious energy trying to figure out to get a hole that's the size of a penny. I mean, what are we doing here? Going to Mission Impossible my way behind this thing? No, I'm not doing it.
If you don't believe there's a way, like Kevin just articulated, you're not going to go find it. You're going to give up. It's not possible. Have you ever had someone like say that? Maybe we've all said that at some point.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. Alan and I are giggling. We'll get into it during the episode, but we have something funny going on right now. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was episode number 1337, the 2 types of boundaries. Today, happy Tuesday, for episode number 1338, you get more of what you focus on. This isn't my story. Well, I guess I'll attach it to it. For some reason, we're having technical issues with Alan's laptop or Wi-Fi or something. I don't really know what it is. That's why we're laughing, because Alan just got a new laptop.
StreamYard.
It could be StreamYard. Alan just got a new laptop, and we have not had the issue that we're having, so that's why we're giggly. This is kind of my thought process behind this episode. So recently, shout out to AA. AA is our video editor. He's the best. One of our video editors. And he said, Kev, when you record Podcast Growth you don't even have to use StreamYard or Zoom. You can just record right on your laptop. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I didn't really think about that. So I proceed to record an episode on Podcast Growth You on my laptop using this webcam as my camera. And the video quality is just better because it doesn't have to rely on the internet. And I go to upload it. And I was like, this is great. This is awesome. And Google Drive kicks it back and it says error number 48. And I was like, okay. No, I don't think so. Let me send this back up to the internet. Like, miracles happen here. Let me make this go. And didn't work. Rejected. Error. And I said, oh no, this is not good. So I did some research. On what does this mean? I don't understand why this has happened. This has never happened before. Just all of a sudden starts happening. So I did a bunch of research. That really is what this episode is about. A lot of people, and again, myself included, we focus way more on the stress than the strategy. And we stay hyper-focused on, oh, this sucks. This is a pain in the butt. Oh, this is never going to work. Oh, I'm so stressed out over this. When on the other end of that stress, there's some sort of necessity that's going to help us find strategy. So I recorded, that was last week. That was 2 weeks ago. So I said, you know what? Maybe it was just a corrupted file. Whatever. I'm going to do it again. So I record another one native to my laptop. I go to upload it starts working. I'm like, hell yeah, I did it. Then I don't know, it gets 1/8 of the way uploaded and it crashes again. It says, error 38. And I said, there's no way.
Error 48, sir.
48, whatever it was. That's how much I don't know, because I saw it, I looked it up, I Googled it, and I couldn't figure out what to do. It's one of those interesting things where there's nothing online about it. Couldn't figure it out. And I was thinking, I was like, okay, has this ever happened before? And I said, yes, this actually has happened. When I was uploading Top Notch Live 2021 footage, and those files were massive. I'm talking so just as an idea, how much do the iPhones have for storage?
It depends, but usually
the biggest ones.
Really, really big ones is 2 terabytes, I think. But I think your iPhone probably has about 500 gigs or 250 gigs.
I think they're
native
265.
to the phone.
Yeah, I think the biggest ones I think they're 265.
256, brother.
256. Yeah, I was close. I had the right numbers. Okay. Just for reference, I'm pretty sure
that was back then, by the way. They've come way up.
True.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure one file I uploaded was 256 gigabytes. Mm-hmm. Just one of the files. And I think I had to upload 7 of them. So I remember, this is when I lived with Matt. I'd be getting ready for bed. Our Wi-Fi wasn't great, so I couldn't really upload large files and watch TV. So we'd hang out and watch TV at night. I'd get ready to go to bed and I would upload the file. And I'd be like, yeah, this will upload. It's going to take 27 hours. All right, cool, whatever. Doesn't matter. So I would press upload and I'd go to bed. Every morning when I woke up, it wouldn't work. It'd say error number, whatever. And I was like, what is happening here? Here we have thousands of dollars worth of footage and I can't get it up to Google Drive. So what I ended up realizing back then, based on a massive amount of research looking for the strategy, I can either sit here and stress about the fact that I can't do it, or I can search for a strategy. I found out that sometimes something happens with the Google browser and it times out. So if you do it on Firefox, or I did it on Microsoft Edge, it works. I was like, interesting. So I tried that this time and they both worked. So rather than just sitting there saying, oh, this isn't going to work, I'm not going to be able to do this, let me delete these files, I didn't give up. I just kept searching and searching and searching for a strategy. And now I know if I do want to do that moving forward, I'm going to have to upload with something else. But imagine if I just said, yeah, this isn't going to work. I'm so stressed out about this. I'm not going to be able to do this. You know, who knows what would have happened? I would have two episodes of my podcast about podcasts without video, because I wouldn't have been able to figure out how to get the video up there. Not necessarily a great look. So that's my story for this episode.
Well, I think that there's a couple things that jump off the page with Kev's story. The first one is that you tried multiple times and failed multiple times. There's that saying of work smart, not hard. I think it's a bad saying. Here's why. You usually won't work smart until you've already worked hard, because the pain isn't great enough. You try it, it fails. You try it again, it fails. Eventually, the frustration is enough to where you get fascinated to look for a strategy. And so that whole work hard, not smart thing, or work smart, not hard, rather, it's kind of presupposing that you're going to naturally find another way without a lot of commitment. So you were committed to getting this uploaded. Either that or you had to go and re-record and go back to StreamYard, which would be going backwards.
Yeah.
And instead, you just have, there's a couple things. One is you had the grit to keep going. You had and I don't know where you get this necessarily. Maybe it's stubbornness is what you usually call it, but you refuse to tolerate the fact that you don't know that that's why that is happening.
I just feel like I can't be the only person in the world who's having this issue. There's no way I'm the only person who's ever had this issue. So I know there has to be an answer out there. I just know I probably haven't found it yet.
Right.
That's my
there's
thought.
Belief.
Yeah.
There's belief. There's a ton of belief that there is a way.
Yeah.
And I think we should talk a little bit about that too, because if you don't believe there's a way, like Kevin just articulated, you're not going to go find it. You're going to give up. It's not possible. Have you ever had someone say that? Maybe we've all said that at some point. Even the issue that you and I are dealing with, that we've genuinely been dealing with for at least a year and a half. And I'll just articulate a little bit of context. So we use StreamYard, and if you're on YouTube right now, you know that.
Well, and for those, many people won't know this, Alan, StreamYard is a competitor to Zoom. So yeah, a lot of podcasters use StreamYard because it's higher quality audio, higher quality video. It's very similar to Zoom in terms of, how do you use it and all that happy jazz.
Right. Good call. Appreciate it. So when Kevin and we record audio on a different file, and then StreamYard is the video, and then our production team puts it all together. Prior to us hitting record on StreamYard, there's a huge lag between when so Kevin and I say 1, 2, 3, he says 4, 5, 6. And how long it takes him to say 4, 5, 6 determines how long the lag is between him and I. And what used to happen prior to my new laptop is every time I opened Audacity, which is the other audio program, I would have to sit there with Kev and do 1, 2, 3, and then there'd be a delay. He'd say 4, 5, 6, and then he'd say 1, 2, 3, and I'd say 4, 5, 6, and it took up to 5 minutes of us just sitting here counting back and forth to each other before every single episode before we were ready to actually record. That problem went away when I got my new laptop. Yep. For about a month.
Was it a month?
Yeah, probably about a month. 3 or 4 weeks. And now it came back, and we have no idea why. And we will be super, super patient and super persistent at trying to figure out what the deal is. I tried going wireless. I tried plugging in, hardwire. I tried restarting my laptop. I tried restarting Audacity, which is the audio program. We didn't try restarting StreamYard, but we're going to figure this out eventually. And I think that this is an episode that you didn't intend on, but it's about commitment. I think it's about how committed are you to getting the goal, and how much do you actually believe there is a strategy that's going to work.
One of the interesting things, I think this is kind of a breakthrough live. One of the things that I've picked up from coaching so many people at this point, and oftentimes it's coaching stuff that I haven't necessarily done, but I have a high enough level of awareness to do, is a lot of times I'm on the phone or on Zoom with somebody trying to figure something out together. I told the story before when one of our first podcast clients lived local and I went to his house to help him set up the equipment. And for some reason, the equipment we were using for his audio was super staticky and I could not figure it out. I had no idea. I could not figure it out to save my life. I tried a bunch of different outlets at his house. I tried different extension cords. I tried everything and I couldn't figure it out. And eventually it got to the point where I literally, he left his house. He's like, hey, I got to go to a meeting. Are you going to stay? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay and fix this. And he left me in his house by myself to figure out this problem. And I was like on Google trying to figure out, just testing a bunch of different stuff. And eventually I got it to work. And it was just like, I need to focus on the solution. I know what the problem is. The problem is they're static. That's all I know. And I think that's a good enough place to start. And I think for a lot of us, if we sat down, to your point, Alan, if we sat down and said, okay, what is the real problem here? I think for a lot of us, and again, I'm as guilty of this as any human being, I would say, okay, what's the problem? This is the problem. And then I would give like 4 other problems. Well, I don't know how to fix this. And if I don't fix it, this is going to happen. And when I don't fix it, this person's going to know I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And I'm probably going to lose this client. Where for me, it was like, somebody else has dealt with this. I'm sure somebody else. I'm not the first person ever to deal with this problem. What are the odds of that? Super low. It's super low. So I think there has to be, at least for me, it helps to know that most likely, if you do some level of research, aka you form a strategy, there's probably breadcrumbs out there that will ultimately help you get to your answer. Here's the problem. Just as for our example, I don't know how to Google the problem. What do I Google?
StreamYard continues to lag whenever you use it with Audacity. That probably would
maybe
come up.
But you got to think there's not a lot of people doing what we're doing.
That's true.
So I don't know.
There's got to be somebody.
I hope.
Same.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. But
I want to ask you this. So a lot of people don't believe in themselves enough. I know a lot of our listeners struggle with that. I think one of the reasons is because they don't believe there really is a solution. I don't know what a good example of this would be, but give me an example of past Kev where you just gave up and you didn't keep trying. You know what I mean?
I don't.
Where you just accepted failure, for lack of better phrasing. You were like, that there's no way. That's not possible. Or there's no way that's going to happen or whatever. Instead of what we do at NLU, which is like, okay, how do we make that happen eventually?
What's going on, guys? My name is Austin, and I've been working with Kevin for a few months now. If there's one thing that I find super valuable is his expertise on how to position the podcast to the right audience and fit the content into the overall business plan. And frankly, when we work together, he challenges me a lot. There were some tough conversations that he initiated with me so that I can really grow in the business. Besides the coaching part, the editing team does amazing work with editing and show notes and staying on top of all communications. Overall, my experience working with Kevin has really been top-notch.
I'm sure at my old job, there was a lot of that. I mean, just as an example, sometimes we would have to find a way to get behind a wall to seal a hole. And I remember many times being like, not going to happen. I'd literally mark it on my floor plan it's not possible. It is not humanly possible for me to do that. Sometimes it probably was. I was just lazy. And here's to your point. I wasn't committed enough to find a way. Yeah. I just didn't care enough. It's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to waste my conscious energy trying to figure out to get a hole that's the size of a penny. What are we doing here? Going to Mission Impossible my way behind this thing? No, I'm not doing it. So,
AKA, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. For our listeners in their lives, if you're out there listening or watching this, think of a problem in your life that you've accepted. I'll give you an example. Okay. Kind of a funny one. After COVID, or during COVID, the beginning, all the gyms shut down and I couldn't go to the gym for like 4 months. And it was the longest I took off the gym for years at that point. And it bothered me so much. And I really, really tried to keep it up, but I didn't do a good job. I joke, working out in my closet. I had free weights, but I couldn't squat heavy. And again, insert excuse here. I probably could have found a way, okay? But I didn't. So I held on to some of my muscle mass, but I definitely decreased. And so when the gyms opened, I remember crying on the way to the gym because I was so happy. It was like happy tears. That was an interesting moment for me. And when I got to the gym, I was so upset with how much progress I had lost that I ended up going far too fast. I tried to jump right back to what I used to squat. Leg press in this case. I used leg press. I used to wear this belt. And Kev, you'll laugh at this. I used to wear this belt and I tried to leg press the amount that I used to leg press, and I ended up popping my left rib out. Yeah, rookie move, man. You can't go too deep with a belt on, man.
No.
Pop my left rib out. And then I ended up with a groin injury, which I now realize in hindsight, the rib popped out, it got my symmetry off, and then I ended up pulling my groin partially because I was off center, and the other part is because I was ego lifting, trying to get back to where I was before. And I wasn't obviously strong enough. And so then I was out for 6 months, not 6 months, probably like 3 months. And I remember in crutches, it was like actually pretty bad. And then eventually I kept re-injuring it. And now I understand why. This took me, it's got to be 3 years now, maybe. Kev, I was in the gym the other day. I'm doing abs and I'm doing pulley system abs. And I realized, holy crap, my left core is like not engaged at all. And it was the first time I really realized like, oh, like I'm still off. My rib is still, I'm going to go to the chiropractor. I got to go to the chiropractor. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that, Kev, you're funny, man. Am I still here, by the way? Because my computer. Am I still here?
You're still here, man.
All right, good. Because my TV, we're not going to get into it. It's a whole thing.
Oh, Lord.
Here's my point. I am still working on figuring out what is the issue. And I finally, after 3 years, understand the root cause of the issue. The root cause of the issue is not that I'm not doing mobility. That's part of it. Me doing more mobility would make the issue better. But the root cause of the issue is that my left rib is slightly popped out and I'm off center.
When you say it like that, it just makes me laugh.
I know. And because I'm off center, my left core isn't engaged as much as my right core, which throws everything off. Now I'm getting injured. And again, I'm okay now, but I'm working on it. That level of patience and persistence to consistently figure out ways to improve is what, and this is kind of my final point here. My goals, my fitness goals, are what created the runway for me to figure this out. Imagine after COVID, I just said, you know what? I'm done with fitness. I never would have found out that was the case. I never would have found out my left core wasn't engaged because I wouldn't have been in the gym to figure that out. And so your goals are going to require you to go chase them, for lack of better phrasing. And then you're going to figure out bottlenecks that you're going to have frustrations and bottlenecks and obstacles that you never anticipated, like Kevin with the outlet or the static, or me with my groin. And that's kind of the point, is you have to believe in yourself enough to set goals. And then when you set goals, you're going to set obstacles. You're going to hit obstacles. And when you hit obstacles, what do you do about it? Do you stick with it? Or do you say, you know what? I don't really care about fitness anymore, or I don't really want to hit that goal anymore. And maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not worth it, like you with the tiny hole or whatever in the weatherization field. But that's a good thing to contemplate for everybody, I think.
Last story. I think this will be a good one because I haven't said this in a long time, and many people may have never heard the story. So shout out to Cope Daddy. Shout out to Andrew. I was like 6 episodes in, and I saw Andrew knew that I liked this guy. His name is Justin Wren. He's been on Joe Rogan a bunch of times. He's a professional mixed martial arts fighter. He also does a lot of charity work. And he put something up of, I'm doing 50 interviews over the next 50 days to talk about some stuff I have coming up. And I remember seeing that, and Andrew and I talked, and he's like, dude, you should try to interview him. And I was like, there's no way he's going to come on my show. I have like 6 episodes and nobody knows who the hell I am. And he's like, well, you should try. It's like, all right, whatever, I'll try. So I DM'd whatever I was supposed to DM. And this is how weird it was back then. This was 2017. I get the number to his like booking guy, and I'm at work. Shouldn't have done this probably, but I remember I called his booking guy on my lunch break, and I was like, "Hey, I want to interview Justin. Like, what do I got to do?" And he's like, "What's your podcast about?" And all this. And I told him, he's like, "All right, cool. Here's the time. Is it gonna be virtual?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, no way. This is awesome." So I download this voice recorder on my cell phone. Because again, 2017, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done a virtual interview. I didn't know what Zoom was. I don't even know if Zoom existed in 2017. Probably, but
It did, but it wasn't good.
Right. I didn't know anything about this. So yeah. I end up getting it booked, and I think we agreed at like a 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I get off of work at 3. I'd be back in the hotel. I'd be able to do it. So I interview him, and I recorded on my cell phone. And I remember I told Alan, I was like, dude, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was like 9.5. Like, I crushed this interview. It was a really, really good interview. He was very open and very vulnerable. What a cool dude. And I go back and listen to the audio, and it was brutal. It was so bad. His audio, he didn't have good Wi-Fi, and he just kept like disconnecting, and I couldn't hear anything he was saying. So I remember asking you, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can try to fix this myself. I've tried. I don't know. It's not working. I was like, well, maybe, I don't know if it was your idea or mine, but I'm going to go online, and I'm going to go on one of these freelance websites. And I'm going to try to find somebody to fix it. So I think I paid like either $50 or $100 to get somebody to fix this 25-minute interview. Came back, couldn't use it. I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going. And I kept focusing on what is the solution? What is the strategy? And eventually it got to the point where I couldn't figure it out. And I ended up getting rid of that. I ended up deleting that episode. And I remember that was like a line in the sand for me, where I didn't know if I wanted to keep going, because this was like my dream interview at the time. Completely failed, huge L. And I remember feeling super beat up. I remember feeling just completely defeated. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
What would you say to that, Kev, now?
Welcome to the show, son. No.
Par for the course.
Yeah, I mean, it's your first one, right? Yeah, it's your first one. So you're luckily you're working out the kinks in the first one. One of our old mentors said this: the first time you do anything, he says, that's the worst you'll ever do it. It's like, at the time, I didn't understand how profound that was. Because it's like, yeah, it's easy for you to say when you believe in yourself. Of course, it's easy for you to say that's the worst you'll ever do. You believe in yourself. So I would say I completely understand the pain and the discomfort of this not going your way, but what can you learn from it? That's what I would say. What could you learn from this? And eventually you and I got to the point where we did a lot of virtual interviews, and they all went really well. And then we kept growing, and we kept elevating, and now we have good audio and good video. So yeah, it's oftentimes it's a momentary stressor for a long-term strategy that's going to change the way you do everything. You just don't know it yet.
Momentary stressor for a long-term strategy.
Yeah.
1,338 episodes, and my 52-inch TV randomly cut out right in the middle of this episode. Kevin and I are both having issues and challenges on the technical side. If you are on episode 6 or episode 14 or on speech 5, there's no way it's going to go perfectly. We're on 1,338 episodes, and we are still having issues. Mm-hmm. We are still imperfect, and we are still failing forward, and that is totally normal, despite what social media might look like. Don't compare your brand new podcast or brand new book or brand new blog or brand new YouTube channel to someone else's chapter 50. Because if you do, you're going to be super disheartened. Just stick with it. We did a lot wrong, and we did a lot poorly, but we always stuck with it. And that I'm very proud of. So, And dude, you obviously do that. You're very, very willing to just grind through massive challenges.
I appreciate it.
And yeah, absolutely, man. We wouldn't have got here if we had stopped. Every single one of those issues, it was another opportunity to can it. And we just never did. And honestly, we never will. So it's...
Unless it's not worth it in terms of like...
Yeah.
Because that's the running theme is I have to figure out why there's static in the audio. It's my job. I have to figure that. I have to figure out why I can't upload this video. Somebody else, one of my clients is going to have the same problem eventually.
But you could have said, you know what? Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not cut out to start my own podcast production agency. And and if you had said that, that was our first client. Shout out to John.
Yep.
Our very first client at Next Level Podcast Solutions. If you had said, you know what? I'm not cut out for this. I don't think I can do this. I'm not good enough. We wouldn't have 43 shows that we produce now. We produce 43 podcasts, including one of yours, another one of mine. It's wild. It's all because you grinded it out to figure out that static issue.
Yeah.
Because 1 turned to 2, and 2 turned to 4, and 4 turned to 8, and 8 turned to 16, and 16 turned to 32, and 32 is going to turn to 64. And that's where we're at now. But remember, that's years and years and years later. So I just think that's got to be one of the most valuable lessons is long-term thinking and strategy through failing forward. Yeah.
Speaking of long-term thinking and strategy, June 1st, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Excellent.
Live, behind the scenes, totally private, Alan and I. We're going to do our next monthly meetup. How to stick with something for the long run. So we are talking about strategizing and staying focused and staying motivated and having drive and dealing with all the ups and downs that come with staying with something for a long period of time. Join us. It's completely behind the scenes. You do not have to participate. You don't have to have your audio on. You don't have to have your video on. You can just be a fly on the wall if you'd like. But it is one of the things that we do that is completely behind the scenes. It's not recorded, so you can show up. You can be the authentic version of yourself. You can fear chase, get out of your comfort zone a little bit, and we assure you, you will be safe doing it. Link will be in the show notes.
So whenever we do monthly meetups, they are us trying to learn our listeners, learn the challenges that you're going through, learn your desires, your goals, your dreams, your fears, your insecurities, and then pick a topic that we know you struggle with and then go deeper. This is a wider net on the show. Those are deeper dives and more customizable. Also, we have a book club, as you've heard many times. We are currently reading a book called How Emotions Are Made by Lisa Feldman Barrett, and it is changing the way that I think. It is based on a very simple framework of emotions don't run us when we realize we can run our own emotions. And that's the simplest possible form. Join us anytime. You don't have to have read every chapter. You can come in anytime. You can have read the whole book. You can have read one chapter. You can have read the chapter. You can participate as much or as little as you want. You can keep your mic and your camera off, or you can put them on. Entirely up to you. The link will be in the show notes.
Tomorrow for episode number 1339, what's your obsession? So not only do they make cologne and perfume brands called Obsession, I'm sure. They come up with really good names for cologne and perfume brands. But you might have heard somebody say that person's obsessed in a negative way. We tend to think being obsessed with something in a positive way is probably very constructive. So we are going to talk about that tomorrow. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Keep strategizing. Next Level Nation.